All right, if there was ever a time for you to believe that I'm committed to healthy reasonings and that I'm committed to you healthy reasoners, it's today. Because today you're going to be joining me on a drive to work, and it's a beautiful, partly cloudy morning here in Jamaica. And as a result of that, you may hear a little bit of raindrops falling on the windscreen as I drive, and that's okay. It is episode 22 of the Healthy Reasonings podcast.
Welcome to the Healthy Reasonings podcast with Dr. Andre. You are now listening to your number one source for clear, unfiltered conversations about your health and wellness. Join us every Tuesday for success stories, educational topics, and interviews with wellness experts from around the world. You can listen to this podcast on your computer, phone, or any other electronic device that streams podcasts, or download each episode and listen to it on the go. Let's get started with today's episode.
And I know that you are excited to hear what we're going to talk about today, because today we are talking about tumor markers. Tumor markers. So specifically what we're talking about are serum tumor markers. Serum tumor markers. Before I jump into that, I just wanted you to hear these voice notes and comments from a healthy reasoner located halfway across the world, and another one located right here in Jamaica. Listen to these.
This comment is from P. Panery, and it says, "Hi, Dr. Andre, another eye-opening interview. Yes, laughter and music are truly healing. Watching your video episodes and seeing the joy on your faces and the belief in your hearts puts a smile on my face and lifts my spirits. Love the German Constitution. Laughter is contagious." And a voice note came in on WhatsApp from listener Tamisha in Jamaica. Here it is.
Hi, Doc. How are you? I'm enjoying the podcast so far. I thoroughly enjoyed that last episode, even though it's really sad to face reality every time I hear these interviews. They're really sad because it's really what we're facing, and we just have to realize the reality. But it's for healthy reasoners to really take a step back and look within and make an informed decision quietly sometimes, and just do what's best for themselves. I must say that it's sad to know that the simple things that are in nature, as God has created everything for us on this earth before science and research studies came about, people were doing a lot of different things that would get them well. And there were no research studies, but yet still the tribes know these things and they just continue these traditions. But yet still we're so sophisticated these days that it has to be going through a study. It's sad. It's sad. But healthy reasoners, become aware, realize what's happening, and stay informed and do what's best for yourself.
Thanks, Tamisha.
All right, and we're back. So today we're talking about serum tumor markers. And what are these? Well, serum tumor markers are essentially the blood tests that we do for various cancers in order to give us an idea of how much cancer might be around in the body. So it is sometimes used as a screening, a way of helping to screen to see if this person needs to be investigated for the possibility of cancer. But it's oftentimes used in someone who has already been diagnosed, and the aim is to track whether the treatment that has been implemented or the management that has been implemented is working. And so it gives us raw numbers to use to give us a better idea of how successful our cancer treatment has been. Now, before we get into that, I want to remind you about what we discussed a few episodes back, which is the 4 features of a comprehensive or good cancer treatment protocol. So we want to talk about the features of a good cancer treatment protocol. And we mentioned that there are 4. The first one is, whatever this treatment program is, it must have a feature that allows it to be able to destroy cancer cells or control and reduce their multiplication and growth. That's 1. 2, it must be able to provide nutrients and minerals for the body, for the cells that are actually healthy or that may have been damaged by the treatment, so that they will have the raw materials and the fuel and the energy to be able to repair and rebuild the damaged areas of the body. And thirdly, and this is a very important one, a good cancer treatment protocol must have an element of detoxification where it supports the body to do additional detoxification to get rid of all the waste generated by the cancer treatment itself, the general waste produced by the body, as well as any toxins or chemicals that may have contributed to cancer in the first place. And finally, we always like to talk about spiritual and emotional support for our patient with cancer. Vitally important. So the fact is, if you are being recommended a cancer treatment protocol that does not have all 4 of these, then you are potentially being recommended a cancer treatment protocol that is just one-sided. That's only focusing on the cancer cells and nothing else. And modern medicine has been very guilty of this. And for years, I was also guilty of this until I realized that it was not as effective as I had hoped to just do one aspect of the 4 things and not the other 3. So I have no problems with cancer treatments that are, very rough on cancer cells. I just think that there are 3 other factors that we have to consider. All right, so I've gotten that out of the way. Let's hear a quick word from our sponsors, and then we'll be right back.
In a world that moves too fast, it's easy to lose touch with what truly matters, your well-being. At Teshuva Wellness, we believe in a return to balance, to healing, to your best self. Our holistic approaches nurture not just your body, but also your soul. Whether you're seeking peace, energy, or a deeper connection, we're here to guide you every step of the way. Our medical experts specialize in holistic treatments for chronic diseases, ranging from autoimmune illnesses to cancer. Our treatments are safe, non-toxic, and effective. Because at Teshuva Wellness, your journey to wellness is our greatest commitment. Visit our website today at teshuvawellnessja.com or call 1-876-787-8197. That's 1-876-787-8197.
All right, we're back. And
Teshuva Wellness.
what we're talking about
Return
today
to
are
health.
serum
Return
tumor
to your
markers.
best
So what
self.
are these? These are like when you hear people talking about their PSA measurement has gone up, or that's for prostate cancer, or sometimes for a colorectal cancer. You may hear somebody say the doctor told them that the CEA has gone up or the CEA has gone down. And these are usually blood tests that are done, and based on the reading or the amount of that substance that's found in the blood test, we usually use that as a way of saying, well, it seems as if probably there's a lot more cancer around or there's less cancer around. And a lot of people are taught to hold on to these numbers as if they're vitally important. And in some ways they are, But if we are not healthy in our reasoning around what the numbers mean, then we're going to end up in trouble most of the time. What do I mean by that? Well, let's first explain how the concept of a tumor marker such as PSA or CEA or CA19-9, how does it even really work? And I want you to imagine for me that you come home after a long day's work and you probably didn't have much lighting on your driveway or on your front porch or veranda. When you get home, the car lights shine on your front porch or veranda, and you realize that, for our Jamaicans who are listening, you realize that there's a whole lot of Otaheite apple blossoms all over your veranda or front porch. For our listeners elsewhere, veranda is the same as a front porch. So you come out of the car and you look at your front porch and it's covered with blossoms from a nearby tree, and you recognize them to be apple blossoms. And you say to yourself, wow, this is a lot of blossoms. And when you look at it, you see you count them and you realize there are 50 blossoms. But because it's dark, you're not able to go and take a look at the tree itself. Follow me now. So you wake up the next morning and you say, I don't have the time to sweep off the blossoms. Or maybe you do. You sweep away the blossoms and you bag them for the rubbish. Good. And you have to leave on a trip. The story is very complicated. You leave on a trip, and when you come back a week later, unfortunately, you again come back late at night, and again you realize that there are a lot of blossoms on your front porch or veranda. So you say to yourself, wow, this is interesting. Same thing happening again. These are apple blossoms, Otaheite apple blossoms. And you say, wow, but last week when I came home, there were 50 blossoms I counted. But now I'm looking here and I'm seeing 50,000 blossoms. So your veranda is basically all blossoms at this point. And you say, but how can this be? If I saw 50 the first night, even if there were the same amount every night, I would have expected after a week to see 350. Without looking up at the tree, you could easily guess that one of two things has happened with this tree. So there's only two possibilities. Either a very strong wind, or a rogue gardener, or a playful child shook the tree violently and shook off all the blossoms, and they all fell to the ground. Or the tree grew very rapidly over the space of a week and produced a whole lot more blossoms. Remember, you're not able to go and look at the tree because it's dark. Keep up with my analogy. And so the tree must have grown tremendously in the space of a week and produced a whole lot more blossoms. And this is the general principle of how a cancer marker or serum tumor marker like CA125, CEA, PSA, for those of you who have been unfortunate enough to go through cancer treatment, or have a family member or friend who is going through it or has gone through it, you would be familiar with some of these terms: CEA, CA125, CA19-9, PSA. And we say to ourselves, oh my goodness, what does it mean when the doctor tells me that my PSA has gone up? Well, again, it's well documented that with the PSA PSA, which is a marker associated with prostate, investigating the prostate, looking for evidence suggestive of prostate cancer, what your doctor is saying to you is, I am seeing more PSA blossoms in your bloodstream. And so without looking at the prostate itself, my concern is that the prostate is producing a lot more PSA than normal. Could it be that there is cancer there? Or if we already know that there's cancer there, is it that the cancer is now growing at a very fast rate, just like the tree in our analogy? Because this is way too many blossoms to be there since the last time we did a measurement. And the same goes for the CA, the CA125, and so on. And so the trick is that if there is an effective cancer treatment that has destroyed a large part of the tree in this case, or the cancer, keep up with me, then you will also see a sudden rise in the CEA or PSA or CA125. Because, as we said in our analogy, if somebody shook the tree violently, or a gardener decided to chop off a branch, or a child swung on the tree, or the breeze blew, all of these would have the effect of blowing off lots of blossoms, which doesn't necessarily mean that the tree has grown. And so the challenge becomes, when we see a lot more PSA or CA or CA125 or CA19-9, the list is pretty long, it then prompts us as physicians to figure out how can we get a visual to properly identify what's happening with the cancer, the primary tumor, the tree. Because if we can figure out if the tree is growing, then it helps to give us an idea of what this rise in PSA or whatever means in the bloodstream. But the beautiful thing about using these tests is that it enables us to reasonably track how we are doing in treating you as a patient, because we can just do a blood test, send it to the lab, and it's relatively inexpensive, quick and easy, relatively convenient, and we can get an answer that gives us a way of making a decision moving forward. Now, one of the things that happens to me a lot with my patients, especially because I very, very infrequently use chemotherapy, if I see a patient who needs chemotherapy, I usually recommend them onwards to one of my colleagues. And what tends to happen a lot to me, therefore, is when I use nutritional treatments and ozone therapy and so on to help my patients, there comes a point in which the patient says, hey, doc, I'm feeling way better. My sleep is better. I'm out of pain. My energy levels are high. My ability to do my daily tasks has increased. Can we do a blood test to see where I'm at? And I say, sure, let's do the blood test. I had planned to do it anyway. I do them routinely on all my patients regardless. When we do the blood tests, we see where the patient's blood count has improved, the immune system and white blood cells has improved, the kidney function has improved, the liver is doing much better, and I literally have a case just like that right now that I'm dealing with. And yet, when we measure something like the PSA in the case of a patient being managed for prostate cancer, somehow the PSA was, let's say it was 37, and then it went up to 51. And of course, most of my patients are very clever. They're going to go and open the envelope before it gets to me, or they're going to go to the lab and get a copy of their results for themselves. They're going to look at it and say, oh my goodness, I know that this number was 37 and now it's 52. That means I'm getting worse. And they don't sleep the night before they come to see me. And when they come to see me, they're all agitated and nervous. And of course, I open the envelope, take a look at the lab results, and I say, wow, this is great. And they say, no, what do you mean? How can it be great? And I said, well, the number of blossoms, so to speak, of PSA in your bloodstream was 37, and now it's 52. And they said, but that's not good, that the number is going high. And I was told that the PSA is a marker of how much cancer is in my blood, how much cancer is in my body. I said, no, the PSA is not a marker of how much cancer is in your body. It is a way of telling us how many PSA blossoms are being shed. It is now our responsibility to figure out the significance of the increased PSA. And so I often have to reassure my patients, and to be honest with you, one of the reasons why I do this podcast is because I am, believe it or not, by nature, I am an introvert. And as an introvert, I tend to limit the amount of talking that I need to do. So in my mind, somehow my simplified way of looking at this is, if I can share this information in a podcast form, then perhaps the more people that listen to it is the less people I'll have to go through this explanation with over and over. And I've actually written an article on this. It's posted on the Gerson website. I wrote this article several years ago, and I know it has really made an impact for many. It even has a little diagram of a tree with leaves or blossoms. I think I was getting really creative in that season of my life. So I'm going to try and link that in the show notes below. But I think somebody needs to hear what I'm sharing here. You ever go on social media and hear somebody saying, somebody needs to know today, blah, blah, blah. Well, I'm telling you, Dr. Andre is telling you that somebody needs to know that your serum tumor marker or cancer marker in the blood is not the be-all and end-all of what's happening with you. Please give your doctor an opportunity to sit with you and explain what's happening before jumping to conclusions. And for healthy reasoners, you can now extrapolate why there is so much controversy around, in this case, the PSA. Because the PSA was actually developed as a way of, like I said before, helping to determine the likelihood that there is cancer around. And so there is a range from 0 to 4, normally 0 to 4 nanograms per milliliter at the lab. That's accepted as normal amounts of PSA that should have been shed into the bloodstream. Just like in our analogy, we expected to see X amount of blossoms falling off the tree. When there is more than 0 to 4, then it prompts your doctor to take a closer look at what's happening with your prostate, because they're not expecting to see more than 4 blossoms in your bloodstream, for argument's sake. The rain is here. I'm gonna see if I can quickly do a clip of the rain in front of me. Can't see much because my device is blocking, but that's okay. Rain cloud drive to work. Yeah, so as a result of that, what happens is we discovered some years ago as a medical fraternity that if, for example, a gentleman has an examination of the prostate done, what we call a prostate massage or a digital rectal examination, any of those kind of procedures done, meaning if the prostate is disturbed, just like we mentioned, if somebody shakes the tree or the wind blows the tree violently, then what was discovered after several decades of using the test is that the PSA actually would go up just as a response to the prostate being physically manipulated. And so we had to learn that we should not do a PSA test immediately after the patient has been examined, because it would give us a false increase in PSA, meaning we'd see more blossoms in the bloodstream And we would think, oh, this is serious, but then in fact, it would go back to normal. So I'm talking a lot about the PSA because it is a very common question, especially amongst Jamaican males who don't necessarily want to have to do a digital rectal examination. They want to know if they can do the test instead. But I wanted to let you know that the test, meaning the PSA test, is really going to be an assistance to what we're trying to find out and not the answer. And so over the years, there have been different things developed to try and make our analysis of what's happening with these markers a little better. For example, I remember distinctly the moment when the literature started talking about what is now known as the PSA velocity. And that was really the speed at which the PSA changed. Remember our analogy? Person went away for a week. When they came back, there were 50,000 blossoms rather than 50. Similarly, we as a medical fraternity determined that, okay, we're going to check the measurement of the PSA now and check it again in, say, 6 months or a year and see how much it has increased in that time. And that's determined to be the speed at which it is increasing. And if it is increasing steadily, then that gives us a higher suspicion that there may be cancer around. So what am I saying to you here? I'm saying that as a physician, as an oncologist, my job is to understand how to use all the different tools and information available to me in a way that helps me to guide my patients towards healing. But if we just arbitrarily follow what's happening with social media or the news and just look at the PSA in isolation, then a lot of our patients are going to be distressed. But our healthy reasoners after today will know that this is not necessary, because we know how to interpret in a very basic way what the increase in the PSA or CEA, CA125, CA99 could mean. And so we're not going to get alarmed until we have gotten the chance to talk to our physician. Speaking of which, I wanted to very bluntly let you know, somebody told me that I need to let you know that we do offer, you can see my little logo here, Teshuva Wellness. This actually is my company, and my company has been very loyal to this podcast and sponsoring very frequently. I want to let you know that we do offer video consultations. A lot of people have been asking about that. Do you offer video consultation? And the answer is yes. So if you are interested in consulting with us at Teshuva Wellness, you do not need to necessarily come to Montego Bay initially. You may have to long term. But initially, we offer a video consultation facility so that you can talk with me, send me the medical reports. I'll go through them together with you, and we can help you to determine whether I have suitable management that might be able to help you, or to help to guide you to the best possible resources in your own area. More and more, I'm finding that patients are reaching out to me from North America in particular and saying, hey, I just want you to look at my case, review my reports, and tell me if you agree with what my doctor or surgeon or oncologist is recommending for me, or if there is something else that you think I should do, or something additional that you think I could do. More and more people are asking about that. And we are happy to meet with you on Zoom to do exactly that. I want you to listen to this ad that's coming up now that will speak to how you can do that. And it will also be in the show notes. And we'll be right back.
Are you ready to put you first? At Teshuva Wellness, your well-being is our priority. Even if you can't make it to our office in Montego Bay, Jamaica, we can still help you. With our 30-minute video conference consultations, you can meet directly with Dr. Andre, our trusted expert dedicated to guiding you on your journey to healing. From general wellness advice to second opinions on your cancer management program and more, we are here to support your path to a healthier, happier you. Don't wait to prioritize your wellness. Schedule your virtual video consultation with Dr. Andre today at Teshuva Wellness. Visit www.teshuvawellnessja.com. Teshuva Wellness, return to your best self from the comfort of your own living room.
Okay, we're back and we're closing out. So we're closing out by saying this. I'm very eager to hear any questions that you may have. I'm very eager to assist you with understanding what I've shared today. I've been getting some really good questions and comments, some of which you heard earlier. I may play another one here at the end. And I want you to just know that this is a two-way conversation. I'm trying my best to provide reliable, unfiltered information, but I would love to hear from you more. Please reach out to me. The WhatsApp number is available. You can send me a WhatsApp, and I'll be happy to talk with you further to help you to understand these concepts. Because if more and more people become healthy reasoners, then what we're going to find is that it's easier for doctors to do their job. We have very informed patients who know what they want and what they don't want. And it's just a matter of finding where they can get what they want. So healthy reasoners, I love you guys. Reach out and let me know what's happening, and we'll keep in touch. God bless you.
Thank you for listening to another episode of the Healthy Reasonings podcast. Remember to subscribe to this podcast so you can be updated as soon as new episodes are ready. If you have a question, send us a voice note on WhatsApp or a WhatsApp message. The WhatsApp number is 1-876-405-7831. For more information or to become a sponsor, please email wellnessdocjamaica@gmail.com. See you soon.